Hi, today I'm bringing you a conversation which I guarantee will inspire you. Sometimes in the podcast, I bring you experts in specific fields of health and well-being, or they're people who support others to change their lives, to live better, happier lives. But today's guest isn't someone who's one of those experts, although, as you're going to hear, she's definitely got a lot of expertise. Sarah Jayne is a gorgeous lady who I've known a few months and shares a lot of her life on social media. However, she didn't share that things weren't going so well for her, not right at the start anyway. Sarah Jayne felt lost and stuck and like she was on the wrong path. And as some of you might associate with, and I know I do, when you're in a place like this, sometimes you think staying on that path is the only option, that it's too hard to change anything, because change doesn't just feel scary, it can feel very much out of reach. And a lot of people focus on all of the practical things that would have to change and what's going to be impacted and all of the upheaval, and then you think, I can't do it, I need to just stay as I am. So this is a real story that Sarah Jayne's going to share, and I know you're definitely going to connect with it and get a lot from the conversation. So welcome to the podcast, Sarah Jayne.
No, thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, and this is your podcast debut as well, isn't it?
Yes, I've never done a podcast before, so it's a first for me. So really excited.
Brilliant. So to kick us off then, tell me a little bit about a healthy habit you've got that makes a big difference to how you feel each day.
Honestly, it's quite a new healthy habit, but one I am really loving is my 5 minute journal on a morning and an evening.
Ooh.
Honestly, I'm quite naturally a positive person anyway, but sometimes I struggle to be a bit more mindful and be a bit more present in day-to-day life. So I got this 5 minute journal, and honestly, it really does make a difference to like your mindset, being a little bit more kind to yourself, being a bit more grateful for what you have. And it is literally like 5 minutes. It takes like 2 minutes on a morning, and then you do like a little reflection section on the evening. And I think I've done it, it's approaching 2 weeks now, every single day. And it's just something little, but it makes such a difference.
Oh, I love that. And I've seen
Yeah.
you talking about it on Instagram and showing what that journal looks like. And, people get so much from journaling. It is such a powerful tool to offload, to empty your
Yeah.
mind, because one of the best things we can all do for our health and well-being is to be more present, which can be really
Yeah.
hard when we're so busy every day. So I love that you've kicked us off with a little insight into how your new journaling's helping you to feel better. So I want to kind of go back to how life
Yeah.
used to be for you a few years ago. And yeah, tell me a bit about how it was, what you used to do, and how you felt, before you changed your life.
Well, just tapping into what you said there about I don't think I was very present, and I don't think I had maybe a lot of healthy habits. And I definitely didn't prioritize maybe my well-being. I lived my life at literally 100 miles an hour. Um, any of my friends, all my friends used to say, God, we need to book in advance to see you. Like you're always busy, like you're always doing something. And I look back now and I honestly do not know how I live my life like that. And what I mean by that is, you know, I I used to go to bed at like 12 and then like wake up at like half five, six to like start my day. So I didn't get enough sleep. I probably wasn't prioritizing, like working out and taking time for me. Is it really good for my brain? I definitely wasn't doing that. I used to just keep myself busy with work, keep myself busy with like my Instagram and doing my online stuff. I kept busy with seeing people and family every evening. I have a plan. Like I never had any downtime. Like I literally used to live my life at like a million miles an hour. And then and then I guess like COVID and lockdown happened, and it actually really forced me to slow down for a change, because you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't do anything.
Yeah. And that's what it was like for so many people. I think they started to
Oh,
reassess
yeah.
their lives, didn't they? Because certainly for me, I was in a similar position in that I knew I was so busy and I was stressed and I was unhappy. But then when I was forced into home working and not having to leave the house, I realised why I felt as poorly, if you like, as I did, as low as what I
Hmm.
did, because I used to travel most weeks from Newcastle to London. I'd go to Liverpool and I was usually away, a night, maybe 3 nights a week. And when I was then at home every day, I thought, oh my God, I'm doing, because I had to work the whole way through COVID, I'm doing this really busy job. But I used to do this really busy job the same and have to travel and sit on a train, sit in a car for
Yeah.
7 hours a day, and then come home and then be a mum and do everything I did in the house. So when COVID hit and you had more time for you, was it quite clear, or was it a journey to realise and actually I don't want to go back to how things used to be?
I think for me, I was so busy that distracted myself. I almost distracted myself so much from, was I unhappy and what was I actually unhappy about? I think I just totally kept myself busy. I think at the back of my mind, I always knew that I kind of wasn't living the life that I wanted, but I just kept going. I was just like, I just kept myself busy, kept myself ticking away. And then when COVID hit and I had to like stop and literally take a breather and be like, oh, slow down, I think the slowing down kind of took the blindfold off, and it made me actually realize that I was sort of really unhappy and I wasn't living the life that I wanted. And so, and I guess I didn't actually know the solution during COVID. I didn't know what I actually needed to change. It took me quite a while to figure out what I needed to do. And as we were coming out of COVID, I guess it made me realise that, it is like, life's too short. I'm not happy with the way things are. I was approaching 30, which was, the big change of your life where it's supposed to be the most exciting chapter that you're going to live. And I was sort of thinking, right, I'm coming out, we're all coming out of COVID now. The world's going to come back to some sort of normal. I'm approaching 30. Do I want to live my 30s the way I've been living my 20s or my late 20s? Absolutely not. So what do I need to do about it? And I just knew then and there, like, I needed to make some big changes.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, milestones like that, not just age, but I
Yeah.
think other milestones in life can trigger those thoughts and make you reflect on where you are and whether it's where you want to be. And I think it's quite a
Mm.
sad thing that we wait until something like that comes along to prompt us to look at our life and ask whether it's the way we want it to be. And, when you kind of had that aha moment, if you like, that this isn't how I want things to be and something does have to change. And as you said, you didn't know what that was going to look like afterwards. You just knew it wasn't or couldn't stay how it was right then. Like, how did you move forward? What did that feel like?
Um, I mean, don't get me wrong. I get a lot of questions around, did you make that decision dead quickly? Like, what was your process? And I think for a long time, I thought I thought I thought for a long time I needed to fix myself, which was actually really sad. I was really unkind to myself. I know this is going to sound stupid, but I thought, oh, I need to lose a load of weight. I need to do a load of exercise. Like, I need to change myself physically. Like, I don't know why, but I instantly thought, like, oh, I need to fix myself, which I know sounds crazy now, but at the time, because I couldn't figure out the solution to the problem, I just instantly blamed me. And if I'm honest, it came to a part that actually I was just not in the right environment. I was not in the right relationship. So I made the ultimate decision to leave both of those things and completely start again before I was 30. And don't get me wrong, it was so scary, but it was where I am now. It was the best decision I ever did for myself.
And, I mentioned a lot of people stay where they are and stay in that stuck place because they're so scared of the practicalities of what's going to happen when you do change that thing. I know certainly for me, when I ended my marriage, we'd potentially ended it many times before, but there was just this massive fear of, well, I've got this home and then there's the money and my daughter and extended family and things that you shared, even though you didn't really like each other and get on. There was just so many practicalities of, well, how will I go to work when I haven't got a husband at home to help with things or whatever. All of those things come into play, and quite often that's what you make your decision based on, isn't it? Rather than based on you and your values and what you want for yourself. And did you find that hard?
Um, I think a lot of people who have like reached out to me, and just what you said at the beginning there, I think it's really easy to stay in what's comfortable and what you know, because the unknown is very scary. But what's that saying where if you step out your comfort zone, you tend to grow? It's like scary, but you grow. And um, I think I think a lot of people worry about what other people are going to say, and I don't know. Like I think I think I wasn't worried so much about like what my friends and family thought, because I think I kind of had an underlying feeling that they knew I wasn't happy, and wasn't living like my best life. Um, because when I did make the changes and kind of told them, not anyone was overly surprised. And a lot of them, I had sort of two reactions. I had some people who were really upset and like kind of angry for me. And I was just like, don't waste your anger. Like, I'm going to be living my best life. Like, don't be upset for me. And then I had other friends and family who were very much like, oh my God, like, so proud of you. Like, you've done something that not a lot of people would do. And, like you're making those changes and like I say, stepping out of your comfort zone, and doing something quite scary.
Yeah. And I know we've chatted about this
Mm.
before. So once you'd separated from your ex-partner and you made those changes and decisions to do your life differently without knowing which way that was going to go next, there's kind of that messy middle bit where you are working that out, and so much upheaval
Yeah.
there. I know you had to move back in with your parents, and you said you were 30 and you're like, oh my God, this wasn't how I thought things were going to be at this stage of my life.
Oh, thank you.
But you said when we'd spoke before that you kind of then, at that point, and as you started to build things up again, realised how much you'd been pulled down by not being happy, which you couldn't see when you were actually living it at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you mentioned you didn't really have very many healthy habits. Like, what kinds of things did you start to go, oh my God, I've realised actually I felt like this and I felt like that?
So like so yeah, when I moved back, it was I think I spent so much time maybe doing things for like not filling up my own cup, like with healthy habits, and not making sure that, like I was fulfilled. So when I did move back home, um first and foremost, like taking that time for myself, like whether it was going to like hot yoga, whether it was just a nice little pamper session, getting back into reading, getting outside and doing my walks, or doing some exercise, like stuff that just allowed me to switch off and just focus on myself, and building those healthy habits. I I actually found out. Well, I didn't find out, but I sort of put I sort of nurtured relationships that, gave something back to me, and like whether that was like family, friendships. I spent a lot of time with people who, put their energy into me as much as I put it into them. So I got to see a lot more friends and family, and nurtured those relationships. I also I feel like during that time in my life, like I learned a lot about myself. I also did a bit of therapy because I just wanted to chat about things that I'd been through, and I learned a lot about myself, and it was incredible. So I changed my life up quite a bit, and just sort of focused on myself and filling up my cup for once.
Oh, I love that saying. Yeah, it's so powerful that. And how do you feel now
Mhm.
then? Because you've continued with a lot of those habits, you have embed them into your life as habits, haven't
Yeah,
you? I know you go out for your walks all of the time. You've moved somewhere so that you can be on the doorstep of nice places to get
yeah.
out in nature. So what has that done for your overall health and well-being?
Honestly, I can't explain how. Well, first of all, I am so incredibly happy. Like, I sometimes have to pinch myself because I kind of live the life that I always dreamt about and always wanted. Um, and I know this sounds absolutely crazy, but like even just like having a beautiful place to go for a walk, and like coming back home and, having time to like cook and like do all that kind of stuff, like I guess like slowing my life right down and really enjoying the little things and living in the moment and being more present. Um, like really just doing things that make me happy. Like happiness is honestly like just so important, and just I feel like we do so much in life, especially with like just making sure that you like life is too short, so you really
Mm.
need to make sure you're spending your time, but like wisely, on things
Yeah.
that make you happy.
And that's the key, that and that's the difference, isn't it? You've come from somewhere where you were just, I don't want to say surviving. I mean, I use that I don't know if you'd be comfortable using that in your circumstances and life situation, but you were getting by, you were doing what you thought you did at that age, had a partner, you're progressing your
Mhm.
relationship, you're working hard, building your career, but you just don't feel happy. And we're all here for one life. Some of us
Yeah,
believe in different variations of that, but in this body, yeah. and then
yeah.
and then now you're in a place where that intentional living is what creates happiness. And I believe that's how happiness comes. That's how I think your health, when you're in control of it, means you can you can get clear on who you are and how you want to feel and make that happen for you.
I mean, to be fair, I actually always say this in my day to day. I always say I'm thriving, not surviving. Or I'll be like,
Mm.
I am thriving and surviving. So it's a funny thing that I do say. To be honest, when I look back, like I probably lived a really unhealthy life, in a sense of I did run around a million miles an hour. Probably didn't eat the best, in a sense of, not that like I had takeaways every night, but like probably didn't fuel my body enough. I wasn't taking enough time for myself to make sure that like I was checking in with myself and making sure I was okay. Um, I definitely wasn't sleeping enough. Like sometimes I would have 5 hours sleep and just live on that. Um, Whereas now I I do really try and like look after myself and fill up my cup. Making sure I sleep properly. I take a lot of time for myself. I just to make sure like my mental health's okay, and to make sure that, like I say, I'm recharged. I eat loads better. Like I eat a lot of wholesome food. I have a lot more time to cook now. I'm not the best chef, but I do enjoy cooking. Um, and like I say, I take a lot of time for myself just to zone out, recharge my soul, fill up my cup. Um, and yeah, just like I say, overall happiness. I'm
Hmm.
probably like thriving a lot more than I was back then.
So something I'm going to touch on is, because I know we've spoke about this, like your life isn't
Hmm.
perfect. Nobody's life is perfect. So if you
Oh
listen
no.
thinking, oh, this is easy for Sarah Jane, she's been able to change it, she's young enough, whatever you might have going through your head and think she's got all this time for herself. I've heard you when we've spoken saying, I'm so busy. I have got stuff to do. But the difference from where you were at when you were so busy in the past was that you're choosing how to spend your time now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you are
Yeah.
still busy
I'm a,
and you've still got a full-time job and you run your business and you're an influencer on social media and you've got a partner and you're planning a wedding and you've got dogs. And so you've got a life that requires a lot of things
it's
from
going on,
you.
yeah.
So so how have you managed to shift from like the same 24 hours a day, a lot, same kind of busy
Mhm.
life and responsibilities to where you are now, but giving yourself that time you're talking about?
Um, I guess it's all about like prioritizing, but also having boundaries. Like I think back then, I didn't really have boundaries, and I think I also put too much pressure on myself to do too much. Like you literally have only a certain amount of time in the day, and I used to try and fit and squeeze so much stuff in, and the only person that didn't do so well out of that was me. Like if I was doing all of this stuff, it was me that was suffering because I would not eat enough or I wouldn't get my exercise in, which would then make me feel rubbish because I need it for my brain and to switch off, or I wouldn't get enough sleep. Like it was only impacting me. Whereas now, like literally, I am decorating, planning an engagement party, planning a wedding. Like I work full time, I do my Instagram, like it's full on. But I would probably say I have way more time for all that stuff because I prioritize and I can't do everything in one day. So I might focus on if I can do this one thing this week, I will be happy, and vice versa. Um, and like I say, I also don't waste my time with things that are not going to be good for me and things I'm not happy about.
Mm.
And if I need a few days just to be like, you know what it is, it's been a stressful week or this has happened and I need to chill, I can just be like, no, I need time for me and I'm just going to work on me. Whereas before, Sarah was just like, no, that's not good enough and would make myself feel
Mm.
guilty. And I don't have that anymore. I've got a much more like healthier mindset around that sort of stuff.
Oh, you explained that so well. And the boundaries piece is so important. Boundaries for yourself. It's not, about,
Yeah.
oh, pushing this person out of my life or having to say no. It's coming from a starting point of you and what you need. And that's where you've got to, isn't it? As you say, you are really busy. But
Yeah.
now it's about prioritizing things like that have the most return on value for how they're going to make
Yeah.
you feel. And that's what I hear so much. Oh yeah, some of the clients that I've worked with are so stuck because, and it's not just with clients, you hear this with your friends and stuff as well, don't you? Everybody wants to feel like they're living a great life, and they think a great life comes from being as busy, as active, as on the go, having little sleep, pushing yourself to fit as many people into your life and day. And then you just hit burnout, and that's the risk. Is not
Hmm.
just burnout, but severe unhappiness and potentially, worse with your actual mental or physical health or both even. So yeah, I love how you've explained that. And one of the things I've heard you talk about, which I'm interested in, is the manifestation bit, because you've,
Oh,
had a very successful
yeah.
reel. Yeah, and you've talked about how you've manifested. Did you know about manifestation, or was this you now looking back and thinking, actually, I got to a place that's led me now to have this new partner and new life?
Um, I've always been I've always been quite positive in like putting things out there. I've always been quite positive, and I get a lot of questions about this around like, well, how did you know it was out there, and like, how did you know all of this stuff? And I guess like I didn't really like I when I was sort of when I was thinking about, right, what does my next chapter look like? What do I want out of it? Um, and also like, what do I deserve? Like like I deserve other things that other people have as well. So when I was thinking about chapter 30, I was like, right, I want X, Y, and Z. Like I want my life to be like this. When I want this certain things from a relationship, I want this kind of things from my life. Um, and when I started again, I moved back to my mum and dad's. I was like, right, this is going to be the end goal, and this is what I want. I'm going to put it out in the universe. Like when I said that, like when I told my friends, and my friends were, some of them were quite upset about, like, oh, I'm really sad for you, and I was like, don't be sad for me. Like I'm going to be living my best life. Like you guys should be really happy, because just let me work on it, and it'll all come together. Um, so I knew what I like wanted and what I was sort of like hoping for and aiming for. And then whilst that was sort of making its way to me, I just worked on myself. Like when I talked about like the therapy, the like working out, working on like myself, making sure I was happy, nurturing those relationships. So and I do believe in manifestation. Like a lot of people reached out and they were like, oh, like I'm in a similar position, but it's easier to stay. Like I don't know, like what if I end up alone and blah blah blah. And like as much as I like, wanted these things and I put them into the universe, I also kind of said to myself, well, actually, what happens if I'm just alone for a bit? And my answer to that was, I'll be absolutely okay, because in my eyes, I'm mint and I'll be absolutely fine. Like I can do loads of stuff myself and it's okay. So, so yeah, so I do strongly believe in like manifestation. I think if you do put it out in the universe has a way of bringing it back to you. But I also think, as much as like I do believe in manifestation, it's also a mindset thing that begins with you as well. Like you put it out there, but then your mindset is like, actually, those are the things I want, those are the things I deserve, and I'm going to make sure that they come to me.
Oh, 100%. And I've done a lot of work personally on this. I've done some coaching on myself. It
Yeah,
was the first thing that I did when I was made redundant. And I know we've chatted about our similarities
yeah,
in this, and that's why I wanted to bring you on the podcast, because I was exactly the same. I'd, had a difficult marriage for a long time. We'd separated quite a few years ago, got back together. Like I say, we almost split up on a few occasions, and then when we did, it was from a very different place, because I didn't have that initial anxiety and panic over, oh my God, how am I going to pay the bills? How's my daughter going to, have parents in two places? How am I going to go to work when I'm on my own? I just stopped and said, what do I want? And what I wanted was to be happy.
yeah.
And that wasn't making me
Hmm.
happy. And so then, like you said, I didn't know what the future looked like, but I knew how I wanted it to feel. And that's when I got really confident and assured. And I remember my dad, who actually went for a walk near where you live, and we were chatting. And he said, are you sure this is what you want? You've just started your business and you've got your daughter. Da, 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 da. And he said he'll bring it up regularly and say, you were just so sure. You said, no, Dad, I know
Yeah,
what I want, and I don't care how much stress, how much hardship comes. This is the right thing for me. It's the right thing for Lois. I'm going to do this and it will make me happier. I don't know when I'll feel that happiness, but I will. And like you, my life changed very quickly, and I truly believe it was the energy I had. And your mindset does have to be right, because if you're saying, oh,
yeah,
I want to get a new job, I want to change career, and you're putting it out, but then inside you're going, my God, you're never going to get that job. Oh, why bother? They're going to get it ahead of you, or, those
yeah,
negative thoughts. That's not doing anything to manifest anything at all, except make your life exactly as it is now. So yeah, you have to work on your mindset, and that's why you've described it perfectly. It's like I could have paid you to do this, but I haven't. You've got to take care of yourself and
No,
build strong health, haven't you? Because then you build that mindset which can manifest what you want.
no, and I think especially a lot of the people who have reached out to me, I think they're before they put their happiness first, they sometimes worry about, well, like I've got a house with this person, like what am I going to do? Like we've got X, Y, and Z. What's like people going to think? What's his family going to think? What's like my family going to think? And like I always kind of see it like, first of all, things like houses and stuff can be resolved. Like it's an object. Like um things like that can be sorted out. And also when people have said like, like what's their like family gonna think, or what's my friends and stuff gonna think, in the nicest way possible. Like, you are not the main character of everybody's story. So as much as you might care about their opinion at the time, you've got to focus on your own happiness because you're the main character of your story. And like I say, I guarantee in like a couple of months, not that nobody's going to care, but like it'll be all over and people will see how happy you are and they'll be like, oh my God, it was the best decision you ever did.
Yeah, yeah, I
So,
love that
so you've
main
got to put
character.
yourself
Yeah,
first.
exactly. And I
Yeah,
think
you
to
have
that,
the main character
uh,
energy.
yeah, to make kind of, I don't know, make people think about this even bigger. It's a bit profound, but when you think about the end of your life, who's going to care except you? Who's going to care what
Exactly.
you did? And yeah, and I think it's just, as you touched on earlier, the fear, the comfort. I actually did a post about this today. How people just stay where they are because as humans we've evolved to be comfortable, but that's not what we were
Yeah,
designed to be. And that's why when we do step into the discomfort, we thrive, we grow, we change, adapt, and we can, you know,
100%.
yeah, we can advance ourselves. So I love that. Um, so yeah, I really have enjoyed hearing more about your story and helping you to share it, because I know you've had a lot of interest. And the reason why she's had a lot of interest is because Sarah Jane has a very big Instagram platform. You connect with lots of your Insta gang, as you call them, and you've
Love
shared
that Instagram.
quite recently, yeah, some of what you've been through. But you hadn't always shared that, and now you've been able to help a lot of people. As you said, lots of people are reaching out because so many people, unfortunately, are really stuck and unhappy and know that they're not their
You,
best selves.
you know what it is? It actually shocked me because so when I moved back home and I was going through this like working on me, um, I it was weird. Like I'm really really open on my Instagram. Like I chat probably a little bit too much, um, but I just couldn't tell people what I was going through. Like I don't know why. And I had a number of people like reach out and be like, oh, like have you moved house? Have you decorated? And I just couldn't bring myself to tell people what I was going through because I was actually just going through it.
Hmm.
Um, but but yeah, so when like when I moved out with mum and dad's, I bought a house with my fiance, and I literally just wanted to do like a reel just for me. It was sort of like, right, I want to close that chapter and I'm starting a new one. And I literally did like, I think it was like a 1 minute video of just like this is what happened. And I honestly did not expect the reaction it got and the amount of comments and women who have reached out to me who were, they're either going through it and they needed that little boost of hope, or no, nice to know that like somebody's out there that's gone through the same thing. Um, so people who are currently going through it, people who are thinking about going through it, and like they just wanted to know it's going to be all right. It honestly blew my mind at how many people like it actually happens to, because like
Mm.
when you're going through it yourself, like I say, like I was 30, and it's like sort of quite stereotypical that like you've got to have your stuff together by that age, and you've got to be in a certain place in your life. And I literally wasn't. I was starting again completely. But it was quite nice, the community that's on that post. There's loads of people in the comments that are messaging me, but they're messaging each other. And honestly, I didn't expect it to be what it was, but it just was really nice. It's a really nice place for people.
Oh, that's good. And yeah, there's so many people who are stuck, the groups are full of them online, aren't there? People who are just seeking that magic cure, which there isn't. You, as you say, you are the main
No.
character in your story. You are the one that can, write the next chapter. You've just got to get bold and strong, and you do that by taking care of yourself and knowing that you're worth living a great life and that you have everything you need inside of you. Yeah. So if anyone would like to connect with you, let them know where they can find you, and I'll obviously pop it all in the show notes. And yeah, tell them a bit about what you do. Share then on Instagram.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm just at Sarah Jane Adams on Instagram, but no, if anyone wants to come over there,
Yeah. Lots of
join the gang.
fashion. More food coming. Definitely more food, isn't it?
Yeah, so yeah, I do a lot of like lifestyle, fashiony, beauty, food. It's a very, very lovely community. Come and join the Insta gang.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, well, thank you again for your time and for being so open and honest and sharing your story to help inspire others.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been like lovely. Like I say, if anybody wants to connect and talk about anything like that, I am like an open book, so I could chat all evening.
Great. Oh, well, that's a lovely offer. So, yeah, make sure you connect and let Sarah Jane know if you've listened to the podcast, what you've taken away from it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.